As we continue, we said we was going to go into the history, which you can grab the link www.jewishhistory.org. But before you continue, remember again, Daniel prophesied of what was to come in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and one of the color or the material on the statue would have been brass or bronze to be exact, which would have represented the Greek Empire. And then Daniel 8 gave a vague description as to what would have taken place, which we see and was able to pinpoint would have happened during the time when Alexander began to rule. And he had control over all the nations of the earth. And they were paying tributaries unto him. He had full rulership over them. So let's go back into the vision, what Daniel would have interpreted Salak before we go into this. So you could see hand in hand, we already proved the description of what was taking place, especially dealing with the after where the king of fierce countenance, the ruler of fierce countenance, which being Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, would have now come in and show the strength of his people, of the kind of people that they are, and rule over taken over the other side with Egypt and Asia Minor, well, in other words, Ptolemy side, as well as take all of the Judea or Judah and Jerusalem, and had control over the holy people, which is the children of Israel, and the mighty, which would be the other nations, which would have many power at the time before they was taken over, of course, right? So watch this. I go into to show it too. And need this to be very much understood. And it says, like, go straight to the point. So bear with me. Right, perfect, right here. I get straight to the point. It says, and after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And that happened, as we have shown, when Alexander the Great came in. So let's just reiterate before you go into the reading which we are going into, dealing with the Grecian Empire, and what happened with our people, identifying the prophecies to come to pass and being direct canonical to the scriptures, to the Old Testament, and we'll also show you the counterpart in the New also. We have to really hone into this one. Let's go into it. It says, let's go back into it again. Read it already. Read it again. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Now listen to it. And made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. And slew the what? Kings of the earth. And what was the interpretation? You would have. Let me go back into Daniel chapter 7, 2 and verses 39. And it says again, after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. We're seeing here where Alexander the Great and his fleet of military might was able to perform this same feat, as it says, made many wars, won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. That means every nation that were high in power or had some form of might would have been subdued by Alexander the Great. That's what it means to slew the kings of the earth. Their leaders were unalive. In order for he to have control, their leaders would have to be unalive. This is what happened. Let's keep going. Went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. In other words, there's no one that would have been able to do what? Come against him at that time, because they were either unalived and had to remain under servitude So they couldn't say anything. Plus, he's a violent man. Esau Edom is known to be a violent man, as we know. A very violent man. Let's continue. It says, verses 4, it says, he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. So it has been explicitly identified in the book of Maccabees pertaining to what it meant in Daniel chapter 2 and verse 39. And it also show record in Daniel chapter 8, which we went in before. Just to reiterate before you continue, it says, and get straight to the point from verses 21, it says, and the rough goat is the king, it says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, which we know to be who? Alexander the Great, because he was the one that slew who? Darius, the king of Medes and Persia, or the Persian Empire. So the fall of and of course we see the fall of the Persian Empire by who? The Greek king, which would be Alexander. Let's just make it out right there. So now that I just want to jump. So now we realize that the scriptures not only did record the dreams and visions and the visions of Nebuchadnezzar, as well as the breakdown and visions of Daniel. It also recorded the event of this particular thing, of this particular timeline, which would be in the Greek time taking place, which is in the book of Maccabees. So again, and it's 100% accurate to what Daniel had prophesied. Proving what? That the Apocrypha cannot be a false book. It can only be canonical. It lines directly up with Daniel's vision, with Daniel's interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and most importantly, let's show this. Just for in case you didn't see it, all right? Which is the belly, which would be of brass or bronze, the belly belly and thigh of bronze, which would be the Greek or Greece. Which again we show it in Daniel chapter 2 and verse 39. See, it's a good thing we have it up here. So now we identify this and we match it with the Apocrypha, understanding why there were Greek-speaking Jews in the New Testament in places like Corinth and Ephesus and all these and Antioch and all these other places, because they were countries and cities in Greece. And we can show that also. There's information that I have up here to show this. I know you're seeing plenty Encyclopedia Britannica. Yes, we did research every single thing from. Because when you go up, I'll just go and give you a brief. Yeah, we have all the captivities after the split of the kingdom, basically. Southern Kingdom, conquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar. Jerusalem and the first temple were destroyed. Many Jews who were taken captives to Babylon, which happened. So, and we have all the rest from before. So we have Southern Kingdom, split of the kingdom, right? Solomon around 930 BCE. Northern Kingdom, Israel, 10 tribes, capital of Samaria. Of course, we know the story, especially going in second edges where they fled after. But let's go into a brief, right? Assyrian conquest, Israel in 722 BC, right? Northern Kingdom were conquered by the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Many Israelites were deported throughout the empire. So you see, scattering of the nation of our people as usual, right? Babylonian conquest of Judea, the Southern Kingdom, of course. Neo-Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar, the second. Jerusalem and the first temple were destroyed. We see that has happened. The Ahmed conquest, which would be the Persian or the Medes and Persian Empire or Persian Empire. All right, Ahmed conquest of Babylon. Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon. Ahmed Empire allowed many Judeans to return and rebuild the temple. see Ezra and Nehemiah, of course, when they continue, and the Greek conquest, Alexander the Great defeated the Persian Empire, which of course we have it in history, and we also, this is in the history books, and then we also have it in scriptures marching. This is why I had to read down to it, because the king at the time was Darius, which Alexander the Great defeated. Judea came under the Greek rule, not because the Greeks newly conquered an independent kingdom, but because they conquered the Persian Empire, which already ruled Judea. After Alexander's death, his empire was divided among the generals, which we have the information of from before. All right, this is a whole brief. I'll just go down until reach the point. Right, so Judea first came under the Ptolemaic kingdom, and later the Seleucid Empire under Antiochus Epiphanes. It says many Jews were pressed to adopt Greek customs, hence why they were Greek-speaking Jews in these nations in the New Testament, which is why it's called the Greco-Roman period. Greco meaning Greek to Roman period. For those who did not understand that. Let's keep going. So, because this makes it very clear. It says, right? So, we're pressed to adopt Greek customs, and the temple was desecrated. This sparked the Maccabean revolt. So, the southern kingdom under the Greek domination, because it was conquered by Babylon. Babylon was conquered by Persia. Persia was conquered by Alexander. The whole just bring it back, and Persia was conquered by Alexander the Great. Therefore, Judea became a part of the Greek Empire. From biblical perspective, books such as Daniel had already foretold this succession of world empires: Babylon, Medo, and Persia, Greece, and then Rome. Very clear. Daniel 2 to Daniel 7, and Daniel 8 to be exact. But anyways, it says, yes, below the, this is, they're giving you the links here. So this is just sources, all right? So you have the historical references, the historical encyclopedias that document the succession of the Babylon, Persia, Greece, explanation how Judea came under Greek rule, which again, now we could give a detailed description as to what took place in that time of Greek with our people. And then we could go on and show in the scriptures that many of our people in the New Testament were Greek speaking at the time. So let's grab it. Now we can get into it. I love this part. This is the hell and Hellenization. Greek culture slowly infiltrated Jewish culture, threatening, and we know it's not Jewish, but okay. Culture threatening to destroy the Jews. I'm not gonna say Jewish because they were not the people at the time. They conquered after. They took over while we fled, and that is exactly what happened. So, threatened to destroy the Jew in ways tyrants could not do through brute force. After the death of Alexander the Great, the Greek Empire and the Mediterranean basin divided into two main sections. The Northern Empire, which included Syria, Turkey, which was then Asia Minor, and Greece itself, was under the domination of a general called Seleucus, and therefore called Seleucid Empire. The Southern Empire, which was basically Egypt and Africa, was under the domination of a general called Ptolemy. Why am I saying Pompey? In my head. Ptolemy. It says these kingdoms would rule the... Please tell me how it here. Slovakia. Oh boy. Yeah, that happens. Okay, I think I have it here. Right, these kingdoms would rule the Mediterranean world until what? Rome. That's exactly what took place. Sandwiched between them was the land of Israel, which the two empires were at peace with each other there was a lot of trades to be had. However, when there was war, it was a very dangerous place to be. I'm going to continue to the next lesson.